Okay, so good afternoon again. I'm Mr. Vincent Santos, PM for Yubico at WSI. So welcome. Um, uh, it's my pleasure to welcome you this afternoon, and thank you for giving us your time. So our title, Closing the Gaps. So what do we mean by closing the gap? So majority of organizations today have already used MFA, especially for remote workers, no? So when we say remote workers, kasama na rito yung work from home employees natin. So we used MFA to strengthen access controls and authentication while we all are pursuing digital transformation efforts. So however, herein lies the gap. So yung currently na ginagamit natin na MFA or multi-factor authentication does not guarantee you are safe. So some are still vulnerable to phishing and account takeovers. So examples of these MFAs are the mobile-based authenticators like push notifications, SMS, and OTP. So all of these are vulnerable to the man-in-the-middle attack and SIM swap. So in short, using these types of MFA will not make you safe. So in this webinar, we will be presenting to you the solution to fill in this gap. So next slide, please. Everyone knows this, in the news every day that organizations are being attacked. So in fact, it is serious that in the United States, no, yung President of the United States, Joe Biden, issued an Executive Order 14028, or most commonly known as the Zero Trust Law, to protect government organizations from cyber attacks. So with the current crisis in Europe, cyber attacks are really escalating. So next slide, please. So not only in government, no, take for example yung education. This data is from the UK. So yung data natin, Yubico, majority ng data nila is coming from um, Europe and the United Kingdom. So 87% of educational institutions have experienced at least one cyber attack, at least in Europe, and this is one most recently in the UK. So basically, that this is 1/3 of UK universities were hit by a successful cyber attack every hour. So 30% of those users in the education sectors were victims of phishing. So 85% demand adequate security funding. So yung education sector natin, so they are experiencing increase of attacks. So nagde-demand talaga sila ng funds to combat these cyber attacks. So 41% of the incidents are due to social engineering. So next slide, please. So for manufacturing naman, so 75% result in production outage. So this is really very serious, no? 43% of the outages cases, production stopped more than 4 days. So malaking bagay na yun sa manufacturing industry ang 4 days. So 44% of manufacturing organizations have 1,000 plus ghost users. Yung ghost users, yung accounts yan related to inactive users and service accounts. And 61% of those compromised credentials continue to be the most common attack entry point. So 61% yun ang taas. So yung $5.2 million, ayan yung average company losses ng manufacturing industry due to account lockouts. So next slide, please. And then for financial, this is one of the favorite sectors of hackers. So 74% have experienced rise in cybercrime since the pandemic began. So yung pandemic natin, ayan talaga yung tinatake advantage ng mga hackers natin. So 42% of banks revealing that the remote working model has made them less secure. So very uneasy sila sa mga remote workers nila. And wala tayong magagawa kasi during the pandemic, all of us are working remotely. So 44% were also concerned that this has led to less visibility of potential holes in their network or infrastructure. So 26% on the other hand, yung IT security cybercrime, fraud or risk department budget has been cut off by 26%. So baliktad, yung cyber attack has risen pero yung budget is bumababa naman siya. So our solution to fill in this gap is an MFA that is unaffected by man in the middle and other forms of attack, the Yubico. So yung slide natin, next slide please. The Yubico, it is hardware-based authentication. So wala. So anyway, yung technical natin will papakita na lang niya si Yubico. So this is a physical token. Um, uh, And I'll introduce briefly who is Yubico before I turn you over to our engineer, Mr. J.M. Beltran, to discuss the product in detail. So Yubico is the product, and YubiKey is Yubico, I'm sorry, is the company, and YubiKey is the product. So it's a hardware-based token. Ang difference niya sa palagi nating ginagamit ngayon is hindi siya reliant sa smartphones. Anyway, so I'll be turning over the presentation to our engineer, Mr. J.M. Beltran. JM, please.
Hello, thank you, Sir Vince, and once again, so good afternoon for all of us here in the webinar. So I'll just share my screen first. Okay, so all good. So once again, I'm GM Bedran, so one of the tech engineers here in the Wordtext System Inc. Currently handles Yubico as the primary product handling and also other products. And for this session, so we'll discuss the what are the products of YubiKeys and how can it be useful to your environment or to your organizations, and how can we improve our authentication or securities when it comes to user authentications or user logins. So for our agenda, so first is we have a quick overview of who is Yubico. Then we can have a summary of types of or basically best authentication practices, which is present today. Then we'll focus on YubiKeys itself and the tech behind it. And we also have various types or various models of YubiKeys. And of course, their key features, their let's say advantages or disadvantages compared to other types of authentications. Then why do we need to consider using YubiKey, and some quick demo, basically for using the YubiKey in Microsoft account or even Gmail account or any account. So for the brief overview, so basically Yubico was founded in Sweden in the year 2007, and all of those products or all of YubiKey's products or Yubico are manufactured in Sweden and in US. And also, there are also 12 years when it comes to innovation and security, and they have branch sites in 7 countries. So they have branch sites on UK, London, UK. They also have Munich, Germany, USA, Japan, Singapore, Seoul, Korea, and also in Melbourne, Australia. So basically, yung one of the assigned branch to our Philippine site is Australia. So basically, yung mga engineers from Australia yung lagi namin nakausap when it comes to collaboration with from our let's say distributor side, which is WSI, to Yubico itself, which is based on Australia. And of course, we have millions of users in across 160 countries. And when it comes to let's say Yubico itself, they are the author of the U2F and the Fido. So basically, this is the standard, our open authentication standard that easily enables all internet users to securely access any number of online services or applications with a single security, not reliant on, let's say, MFAs na nasa phone or SMS na OTP or even sa mga hardware token na RSA OTP lang. So we always rely on the FIDO or yung U2F na. They're also a board member of the Fido Alliance. So basically, Fido means Fast Identity Online, which focus on providing the open and free standards to help reduce the world's reliance on passwords. So the standard is free, but the physical token is not. So that's basically the difference. So standard is in lang yung standard for Fido, but we have, I think, we have many competitors that are say copying the technology of Yubico, because basically Yubico is the first one to basically invent a physical token that currently enables na yung FIDO2 or yung U2F authentication standard. So as Sir Vince mentioned, so YubiKey is a physical hardware-based token. So here we have a variety of model. So when it comes to YubiKey. So first one here on the leftmost side is we have the YubiKey Bio series. So ito yung pinaka latest na launch. So just to compare dun sa 5 series natin, ito kasi is meron na siyang real fingerprint scanner. So meron tayong fingerprint sensor here. Then we have the bestseller na YubiKey 5 series. So basically all of their technicalities or let's say specifications are the same, but they do only vary on form factors and of course their intended uses. And later on, we'll focus on what are the advantages or disadvantages, or basically what are the pros and cons of this series, Bio series versus the UBK 5 series. Okay, so before we move on to the YubiKey product itself, let's just discuss on what are the authentication best practices. So ano yung, let's say, mga ginagamit nating authentication for at least in this present day. So we have actually three, but inside those three naman is we have multiple. So meron pa ulit tayo nagpa-branch out na kung anong technology mismo yung ginagamit natin. But for the first one is we have the simplest. So the username and password. So basically, when you require any account naman, so ito lagi yung meron. So hindi naman tayo pwedeng mawalan ng username and password. But in terms of security purposes, so we can't rely on username and password alone. So of course, it is very phishable. So as you can see here, it has an 80% attack penetration rate. So hindi siya, actually hindi talaga siya safe kapag username and password lang. So pwedeng malik yung password mo, or let's say yung server or yung service is nagkaroon ng leak when it comes to kanilang privacy. So let's say mga user accounts nila nagkaroon ng leak ng data leakage. Lalo na kung let's say passwords yun na leak. So magkakaproblema tayo dun sa account mo mismo. So that's why na-invent yung next one, which is yung basic 2FA. So previously, I think for the past 10 years or 5 years. So ito yung pinaka-safe when it comes to securing yung user login natin. So but now, since nag-emerge, so technologies are ever evolving. So as the cyber attacks or cyber criminals, they now have tools to penetrate yung mga OTPs, basic 2FA OTPs, OTPs sa email, SMS, even yung sa mga mobile authenticators. So that's why it has 10 to 50% attack penetration rate. Compared to the physical or yung hardware-based security key natin, which is yung YubiKey, it now has basically 0% attack penetration rate, or let's say 100% safe if you're now using yung FIDO-enabled or U2F-enabled na security keys. So comparing the basic 2FA versus the SRAM authentication, which is yung hardware-based. So if you think of that, SMS, email, and mobile, they're not entirely built for security, or they're not built to secure your user logins. But when it comes to hardware-based security key, it is entirely built to secure your user logins. So in any supported applications and services. So that's how it achieved a 0% attack penetration rate. Okay, so let's compare in a let's say comparison matrix. So as you can see here, so we have the let's say most commonly used types of MFAs or 2FAs. We have the SMS OTP token or yung mga RSA token natin, like yung mga FATAN and other types of mga mobile token na kumoconnect via Bluetooth and it has batteries. And also we have mobile OTP for yung mga mobile authenticators, mobile push or yung mga mobile prompt app. Let's say kapag sa Gmail, once na nag-login ka sa different applications, click mo lang yung yes or no to prompt yung login para mag-proceed dun sa pag-login. Then we have smart cards and Finally, security keys. So basically, smart card pala is yung mga ATM cards. So those types of MFAs. So as you can see, when it comes to user experience, security, portability, and multi-protocol compatibility when it comes to security, si security key lang is always compliant. So kapag check natin isa-isa. So comparing it into a let's say graphical representation or graphical comparison. As you can see here sa merong ano ba, blue area here. So ito yung mga fishable na types of MFA while actually dalawa lang yung merong high security. That's the smart card and of course yung YubiKey. So the difference between smart card and YubiKey is sa smart card kasi kailangan lagi natin ng smart card mismo and of course yung smart card reader. And yun, so hindi naman pwedeng lagi nating dala-dala yung smart card reader because it's not very convenient to bring always yung smart card and smart card reader. Unlike if you have security key, so para lang siyang flash drive, which can use to a basically a primary MFA. So as you can see here, yung mga other fishable na let's say types of MFA like yung SMS, login and password only, yung mga RSA tokens. So basically ito yung kailangan ng battery and then also yung nagbibigay ng OTP codes pa rin. So hindi pa rin siya U2F or Fido anymore. Unlike with YubiKey, so hindi na natin siya kailangan ng battery. So as is na siya and wala na rin siyang subscriptions. Once na meron na tayong YubiKey, you can use it out of the box. So set up lang natin and you're good to go. I think there's many questions, but I'll just answer that right after our presentation. So let's just focus again on the tech or the technologies behind YubiKey. So ano ba yung mga basic components ng YubiKeys? First is we have the Open PGP or the Open Pretty Good Privacy. So yun ang meaning yan. So this one basically provides encrypted communication between devices. So let's say, for example, when you insert the key into a laptop, the communication from the YubiKey to a computer is always encrypted. Same thing goes for, let's say, using it via phone. If you have NFC-enabled phone, so meron din tayo mga NFC-enabled na YubiKeys, so you can also use yung YubiKey. Tap lang natin sa NFC ng phones natin, then you can just log in via yung YubiKey natin. Next one is we have PIV or yung personal identity verification. This is commonly used for smart card and smart card readers. We also have those types of technology here. Then next one is we have the OAuth, TOTP or the OAuth OTP. So if you're familiar with Microsoft or Google Authenticators, so we also have Yubico Authenticator. So meron din tayong application na Yubico Authenticator app. But unlike with Google and Microsoft, doon kasi sa mga authenticator apps na yun is always siya nagdi-display ng code. Pero with Yubico, kailangan mo munang i-insert yung YubiKey kung saan naka-install yung, let's say, application mo. Let's say sa laptop, nandun yung application mo. Kailangan mo munang i-insert yung YubiKey saka siya magbibigay or mag-output ng code. And sa phone naman, if may NFC, kailangan mo munang i-tap dun sa NFC reader ng phone mo, then saka siya mag-output ng OTP codes. So that's how safe, let's say, para hindi maging phishable yung mga OTP codes. The next one is we have the Fido U2F. So this one is basically for web authentication, or let's say we're logging in via Google, or we're logging on Google or M365 account. We can have a passwordless mode dun sa M365 natin or Microsoft. So just have, you just need to insert yung YubiKey, and then with YubiKey bio, scan lang yung fingerprint ng user, and then pwede ka na mag-login sa M365. While sa YubiKey 5 series, you need to enter yung PIN, just the PIN, YubiKey and the PIN, then you can have a passwordless mode with M365. Then the last two, the config setup 1 and config setup 2. So this one is for computer login. So if we want to have a multi-factor for computer login instead na AD password lang or Active Directory password lang yung kailangan, we can also have or we can set up yung YubiKey as a 2FA. So first one is kailangan nila ng AD password. So kung yung password nila sa Active Directory or sa domain. Then next one is kailangan nilang i-insert yung YubiKey before ma-open mismo yung computer. Okay, so how does the U2F or yung Fido works? So as you can see here, we have just a simple graph here. So let's just say, for example, we're logging in into a single service, let's say Gmail or Google. But instead of using yung OTP, we are assuming na naka-enable na yung security key natin. So same thing goes for Gmail naman kung ano yung, let's say, default setup natin. Kailangan pa rin natin yung username and password. Then of course, kapag verified yung password, it will now generate yung challenge. And then the challenge is you now need to insert yung UBD to any of the USB port ng laptop instead na mag-enter tayo ng OTP. So that's a challenge. Then the next challenge also is you need to touch yung touch sensor ng YubiKey natin. So all of the YubiKeys requires a user touch. So just to prove that there is a real human logging in, not a remote attack or let's say not a malware attack or Trojan attack. So basically that will answer the challenge. So that will be the response. So we just need to insert then touch yung touch sensor ng YubiKey and it will now verify the response. So once na na-touch natin siya, you can now easily use or log into your Google account or Gmail account or any supported applications or services ni Yubico with the FIDO standard. So in a simplified manner, this is how users log on via mobile and of course via a computer. So this default same. So I just need to enter yung username and password. Then insert yung YubiKey. Let's say if we have Type-C or Lightning ports for Android and iOS, we can just insert yung YubiKey dun sa basically sa port ng phones or smartphones or devices natin. But if we have NFC, I think almost all of the latest devices naman is meron na siyang NFC. So we can just tap yung YubiKey natin dun sa NFC sensor ng phone. Then you're just done. So basically ganun lang yung pag-login. Then, sa computer naman, so same thing. We need to enter yung username and password. Then, insert yung security key to any of the USB port. Then, touch yung touch sensor. Then, you can now log in dun sa service. So, that's it. So, basically, this is the standard for all, let's say, U2F or FIDO, let's say, enabled services or applications. Or basically, kapag may FIDO na yung application or yung service. But specifically for Microsoft users or M365 users, we have a passwordless mode. So merong collaboration si Yubico with Microsoft, which enables all M365 users to require or let's say to have a passwordless mode. So for this one, instead na let's say mag-enter ng username and password yung users natin, so we can just click yung sign in options here. So let's say assuming na na-set up na yung YubiKey natin dun sa M365 accounts, we can just click yung sign in options and then click natin yung sign in with security key. So once na-click natin to actually, it will now prompt us to insert yung YubiKey to any of the USB port no computer. And then it will require a PIN. So yung PIN naman is magse-set up siya ng PIN before or yung first time na paggamit ng YubiKey. So this is always required. So once na let's say tama naman yung PIN na na-enter natin, you can just need to touch yung touch sensor nung YubiKey and makakalagin ka na dun sa M365 account. And later on, I'll show you. So basically yung live demo on how this works. And also, meron din ako screenshots on how to set up yung YubiKey as a primary 2FA for M365 users. Okay, so just keep the questions coming. So we'll answer that right after the presentation. So thank you. So for the list of products, so we have actually meron tayong 3 series. So we have first is for individual consumer. We have the security key series, and then we have 2 series for individual consumer, and of course for any organization, business or government, or any private organization as well. So we have the 5 series and the bio series. So for the 5 series, actually you can use it, and also for the YubiKey key series, security key series, you can use it across multiple devices, laptop, smartphones, tablets, basta pasok sa, let's say, sa port ng device or kapag may NFC rin yung device. Unlike with Bio, this one focuses only for computer logins lang siya. So computer login, let's say for Gmail, M365, or any supported na applications Yubico within a computer login is pwede si Yubico Bio. But for, let's say, portable devices like smartphones, for now is hindi pa applicable si Bio series. So as you can see here, basically form factors na naman yung pinagkaiba nila. As you can see for security key, NFC, both have NFC capability, but it varies on the USB port. Then same thing goes for 5 series. So we have the UBQ5, which is type A, and then UBQ5C NFC. Both have NFC, but it do vary on the USB connector. Then we also have dual N. Let's say we both uses Type C connectors and Apple devices or iOS. We have the Lightning port, and then at the same time as we have Type C. So the bigger, let's say, versions, or let's say yung bigger form factors, commonly, let's say, ito yung lagi nating dala-dala. So laging dala ni user, which is across multiple devices, naglalaging sila. Then we have the nano form factors. So for this one, commonly used for stationary devices. So let's say factories, or let's say medyo strict organizations, dapat dun lang tayo mag-login sa computers na issued ng company. Or let's say sa desktop lang ng organizations, we can just choose yung UBQ 5 Nano or 5C Nano kung let's say stationary naman yung user or yung device. Then as I've said before, meron tayong UBQ Bio, which has the real fingerprint or biometric sensor here, which also do vary on the USB connector, Type A and Type C. When it comes to security functions, actually, they do vary then dun sa security functions. So with UBK5 series, basically, meron siyang, etong dito na lahat ng technologies or yung components na na-discuss. So, anyway, it supports multi-protocol compatibility, unlike the UBK series and the Bio series. So for 5 series, so andito na yung U2F, PIV, UBOTP or yung authenticator. Then we have the OpenPGP and so on. But with the security key series and the YubiKey Bio series, so hanggang U2F lang siya. Basically yung protocol. But the good thing with Bio is if you want a fingerprint sensor, which is physical key or physical token, so you can just choose yung YubiKey Bio series. Okay, so next one. So why do we need to consider using UBE? So first one is it is ultra secure. So it recorded zero account takeovers in the past actually 12 years since 2020 na. And it is quick and reliable. So if you have NFC enabled devices, tap lang natin yung YubiKey and you're good to go. And of course, comparing to other types of MFA, so yung YubiKey natin, so wala ng battery, and it is crash and water resistant. And last one is it supports 100 of top websites and applications. So you can view yung full catalog or yung supported applications ni Yubico o yung YubiKey. YubiKey is here, so works with YubiKey catalog. But primarily, so we can use it via computer login, VPNs, IAMs, password managements, PAMs or privileged access managements, online services, of course, even social medias. So if you also need to use it in social medias, pwede rin.
Over the
CMS. And as I've said, so we can search kung ano yung application na gusto natin gamitin with YubiKey. And also we can select yung YubiKey kung anong gusto natin. Let's say kung gusto natin ng YubiKey Bio, we can just select yung YubiKey series dito, YubiKey Bio series. Then search natin kung anong application. Let's say Okta, Ping, Microsoft, or let's say Citrix, or let's say for VPNs, Fortinet, and so on. So or any top applications or websites. Okay, so going back to the let's say latest phishing crisis or latest phishing attempts that I think Sir Vince mentioned earlier before we start the formal discussions of the Yubico. So he discussed the let's say how SMS OTP can be still phished, and how can Yubico let's say counter those types of attacks or yung mga phishing or count takeover attacks. So let's have a scenario here. So let's say we have a full scenario of how yung phishing attacks happened. So let's say for this one, so a single user, which is let's say sabihin na lang natin na hindi siya knowledgeable or hindi niya ma-differ yung pinagkaiba no, hindi niya ma-recognize yung pinagkaiba ng legit emails versus phishing emails. Let's say meron siyang na-receive na emails which is ayun nga, from an attacker. So hindi niya na let's say na-compare yon, and dinagdagan pa ng very convincing na subject ng attack. So with that, so let's say magiging madaling victim yung user na to kapag hindi siya ganun ka aware dun sa mga phishing attacks. So it will now require ni attacker na yung user is mag-log in dun sa phishing website na ginawa ng attacker, to log in yung username and yung password. And of course, once naman na nakuha na ni, let's say, yung cyber criminal, yung username and password niya, pwede niya nang gamitin, pwede makukuha na ni, let's say, ni attacker yung details, username and password. Then, pwede niya nang gamitin yun sa original website. So, once yun nakuha yun, so, i-enter niya na yung legit na username and password ni user na to, and that will prompt yung OTP, or let's say, any MFA, or let's say, any OTP na ginagamit ni user. So with that, madali na siyang magiging, madali na siyang mafi-fish ng attacker. So once na nagkaroon na siya ng access sa original website, pwede na i-lock out yung, let's say, palitan niya ng password para ma-lock out yung user na to. Or, of course, pwede siya makapag-gather ng data, which is, let's say, pwede niya bet sa dark web or so on, kung ano man yung masamang plano ng attacker. Let's say if you're using YubiKey, so let's say to a user na to is currently naka-YubiKey siya, there's no way na ma-access ng attacker kahit na nakuha na ni attacker yung username and password. Because yung YubiKey is always, of course, dapat nasa possession ng user, and if you're logging in, dapat kung saan ka maglalagin na device, nandun yung YubiKey mo. Let's say for example here, maglalagin ako sa Gmail, dito ako nag-input ng username and password, dapat dito ko rin i-insert yung YubiKey ko mismo. Okay. So with that, actually, si Google mismo, so actually Google is one of the top customers ni Yubico, and I think all of the Yubico employees are required to use the Yubico as their primary MFA, and they created a security key, a security blog way back, I think 2019, and it's still si security key yung merong 100% safe when it comes to account takeover. So, comparing to other types of MFA, so vulnerable pa rin yung phone na, let's say SMS code, mga phone calls, secondary email OTPs, on-device prompt, or even yung mga OTP application, OTP authenticators, and so on. And besides Google, so one of the top customers ni Yubico are yung Facebook, of course, enabled na yung YubiKey sa social media ni Facebook, even Twitter, Instagram. And then we have Salesforce, GitHub, and Dropbox. Then we have government, which is yung gov.uk na website. Okay, speaking of UK, gov.uk, so we have a case study here. So basically, yung gov.uk kasi is their primary identity providers is Digidentity or Digidentity, which is yung Digidentity na yun is enabled na yung YubiKey for user access. So let's say for example sa atin, let's say domestic Philippine, let's say kung maglalagin ka sa SSS or any government sites, so parang wala pa tayong YubiKey or hardware-based token na reliant for more secure logins. But for UK itself, so enabled na yung let's say MFA or yung Fido Authentication. So kapag maglalagin sila sa services or yung mga sa government services, pwede nilang gamitin yung YubiKey as their primary, let's say MFA. Also, some case study from university naman. So yung Duke University. So going back here pala is yung actually yung sa gov.uk, they're using yung U2F protocol. So as I've said, yung Fido for web authentication. Yeah. And for this one, so with Duke University is they require multi-protocol compatibility. So that's why it uses I think 5 series or any YubiKey na supported yung YubiKey OTP, remote access and VPN authentications because for this case study, Duke University uses a lot of SSH or remote access and VPNs for their let's say staff or employees. And also additional case studies from multiple government agencies relying on hardware-based or physical tokens are Sacramento, Washington State, and also the city in California, which is yung online services nila is enabled na with Fido na standard which is yung protocol natin for YubiKeys. And also some government organizations, including yung British National Cyber Security Center, even yung European Union Agency for Cybersecurity, also requires the hardware-based security key as the strongest version of MFAs. Okay, so next one is basically we're almost on the exciting part. So we have the demo. So for the first demo is we have here the screenshot of the YubiKey Authenticator, Yubico Authenticator. So as you can see here, same lang siya nung other authenticator apps like Google or Microsoft, but with this one, actually kailangan pa nating i-insert muna si YubiKey as you can see here before siya mag-prompt ng any OTP code. So downloadable na siya for computers or smartphones and install lang natin unlike any applications and we're good to go. Okay, so next one is for the FIDO2 for Microsoft or M365 users. So if we're using AAD or Azure Active Directory or primarily for Microsoft O365, we can easily enable the FIDO settings in the Microsoft Azure admin portal here in the authentication method. So kailangan lang naman, excuse me, sorry. Kailangan lang nating enable yung FIDO2 security key for the authentication method policy. And then, so once na-enabled, we can just proceed to the settings mismo ng Azure AD natin. Then we need to enable this one. So I think medyo maliit lang yung picture. But here, so kailangan lang natin click yung here's for enable. And we can target selected users or all users. So basically, ito lang naman is i-enable lang natin yung FIDO settings for all of our accounts or users. Ang mangyari lang is magkakaroon ng another options. So the default options kasi is phone or any authenticator app. But if we enable this one, matatagdagan tayo ng security na option dun sa MFA. Then on lang natin yung sub-service because yung pag-add kasi ng YubiKey is a sub-service siya. So wala tayong management, let's say server or management application or any central management application or website. So ayun, so sub-service talaga yung pag set up natin with YubiKeys. Okay, so once done, we can just proceed dun sa security key info ng users or account ng users natin dun sa L365. So proceed lang tayo dito and we just need to click yung add method here. And then as you can see, meron na tayong other options for security key. So ang default kasi kapag hindi na kayo-enable sa Azure AD is ito lang dalawa. Pero meron na tayong third option. And also pala, prerequisite na kailangan natin is before tayo mag-add ng security key, kailangan present na tong phone and authenticator app. Kailangan yung dalawa mismo is present. Because ito yung magiging secondary natin kapag nawala natin si security key, pero wag naman sana. Pero just in case na meron tayong mga employee na hindi naman, let's say, hindi na ingatan yung YubiKey and nawala, there is still a way na makalagin dun sa account niya. But this is just secondary. But if you have primary security, so okay na naman. And also, just like, let's say, house keys and car keys, the best practice from Yubico kasi is to have multiple keys in a single account. So, 2 or more, actually, ako is, I think, 4 na. Because I have tested, let's say, 4 different YubiKeys on my own account. O365, social media. And so, ganun na karami. And yung dalawa lang na yun, yung lagi kong dala-dala, while the other two is always nasa safe place, or let's say, nasa bahay or nasa room, kung saan man safe para sa atin. So let's just proceed on the setup here. So just clicking security key, and then we can choose, or sorry, we can just add here. Then we can choose what type. So kung saan tayo primarily maglalagay via USB or NFC device, so we can choose any or both. Then once done, so magpo-prompt na siya ng have your security key ready, or kailangan nating i-insert yung security key for setup. So once na, let's say, na-setup na natin, so yan, it will prompt lang naman yung security key setup via the Windows security key. So just click accept or next, then next, then accept or okay. Then once done, so ito na, so magsa-setup na siya ng security key pin. So once na-setup natin, so from 4 up to I think 72 digits naman yung pin natin, pero I think we're good in 6 or 4. And so just enter yung security key pin, then yung touch natin yung security sensor. And sorry about that. And then after that is it will still require yung any code from the secondary MFA, like yung phone or authenticator app na nakaset up previously. So naman yung secondary natin. So kailangan pa rin for the first time setup, kailangan pa rin natin kumuha ng code dun sa previous or secondary MFA. Then once done, kailangan lang natin lagyan ng unique name yung security key. So bakit kailangan? Since pwede kasi tayo ngayon nga maglagay ng multiple keys in a single account. Kaya kailangan every security key unique yun. So let's say for this one, Yubico 5 NFC primary, and then yung second one is backup. Then if you have pangatlo na, backup 3, backup 4, and so on. Basta unique na security key. Okay, so once done, so let's say on the sign-in process na siya, we can just click yung sign-in options here. Then click yung sign-in via security key. Then once na na-insert na yung security key to any of the USB port, enter lang yung PIN. Then touch yung touch sensor. Then yun, so can access na yung M365. So later on, I can show the live demo. I think we can have a 5-minute live demo. This is just a screenshot primarily. And of course, we can also have the YubiKey setup for Gmail accounts. So I think ito yung pinaka ginagamit up to now naman. Lahat naman ata may Gmail users. So we can just proceed here sa securities info, or same thing, kagaya ng sa Authentication 5. Punta lang tayo sa security ng account natin. Then we can have set up yung two-step verification. Here, we can click yung sign-in options or show more options. Then, andito yung security key. Then, click lang natin yan. Then, it will now prompt again na have your security key ready. So, dito natin i-insert yung security key. And then, another Windows security key setup. And with this one, we just need to tap yung touch sensor, yung YubiKey. And again, kailangan natin ng unique name. So as I've said, ito, YubiKey primary. And yeah, so meron ka ng primary na YubiKey. And ayun, so pwede ka rin mag-add ng multiple. So any user or account naman, pwede siyang mag-add ng multiple YubiKeys. The maximum is, actually, wala pa kaming details on what is the specific maximum no YubiKey single account. So I can show you mismo live demo no sa Gmail or O365. Ayun, so okay, pwede tayong sa Gmail muna. I just reshare my screen. Okay, so I'll try to sign in yung let's say ganun pa rin. For Gmail is ganun pa rin. So yung default is this is via Fido or yung U2F nga, web authentication. Kailangan natin ng username and password. Ayan. So as you can see, nag-prompt siya ng two-step verification. So if you're seeing, I think you can see yung insert your security key into any of the USB port. So for this one, I'll be using yung security key 5, YubiKey 5 series. YubiKey 5 series. Yeah. So once na-insert na siya, and you can just touch yung security key sensor, which is yung gold-plated, or let's say, kailangan mo naman siyang i-touch once na umilaw yung LED, yung security key. Then once done, yun. So, tinouch ko lang siya. Basically, ganun lang naman siya. Then we can just click lang natin to. Then, click next. Yan, susunod or in Filipino, susunod. Yan, so, may access ka na dun sa Gmail mo. So, yan. So, dami Gmail account ano naman to. So, okay na. So, next one is for Office login. And for this one, I'll be using the, let's say, the YubiKey bio, which is dapat hindi na ako magpa-prompt ng security key pin. Or let's say, for this one is, yan, so click lang natin sa security key. Ayan, so as you can see, nag-prompt ulit siya na kailangan natin i-insert yung security key into any of the USB port. And for this one, this is YubiKey bio. Ayan, just need yung touch yung security key. So, scan lang niya yung fingerprint. And okay, so for this one is, I'm using multiple accounts in a single key. So, pwede rin yun. Single key, multiple accounts. And as you can see, meron akong dalawang Microsoft demo account here. So, click ko lang siya. And yeah. Okay, so yeah, so may access ka na kay M365. Ayun, so the first one is YubiKey bio. So hindi siya nag-prompt ng PIN because yung PIN mo na, magiging PIN mo na is yung fingerprint. So yung fingerprint natin for YubiKey bio, once na nagkamali siya or let's say mali yung finger na in-scan ng YubiKey bio ng up to 3 consecutive times, doon tayo magpa-prompt ng security key pin for the YubiKey bio. So, ganun lang naman siya. So, I'll try to simulate kung kailan siya let's say, pa-prompt ng security key pin pag magkaroon ng 3 consecutive times na failed, no? Fingerprint scan. And so, I think. And actually, with YubiKey Bio series, I think I can't show you now, but meron siyang LED. So, meron siyang nagbi-blink na green na LED. Then, kapag nag-scan ka ng fingerprint, mag-green ulit yung LED kapag tama yung fingerprint. Pero kapag, let's say, mali yung fingerprint na, or yung finger na na-scan niya is red naman. And as you can see, so, nag-try ako ng 3 consecutive times, which prompt yung security key pin. And so once na nagkaroon ka ng, nag-enter ka ulit ng PIN, yung next na touch is simple touch na lang siya. Okay. Ayan. So, ganun siya with YubiKey 5 series. Now with the YubiKey 5 series, so let's say ito naman yung walang fingerprint sensor. I'll show you naman yung PIN lang siya mismo. Okay. So, same account. So, since pwede yung YubiKey for multiple accounts, and I'll insert yung YubiKey 5 series, which doesn't have the fingerprint sensor. Ayan, so once in-insert ko, security key pin agad yung, let's say, mag-confirm. So, yan. And once na okay na yung security key pin, so verified or confirmed. So, tama naman. Touch ulit yung touch sensor. And that's basically it. So, ayan. So, ganun lang siya for YubiKey for Fido. So, let's say for, ano naman, let's say, what do you call this? For Yubico Authenticator applications, or Yubico Authenticator app here. Just show the entire screen just to see. And as you can see here, ito yung Yubico Authenticator app, which doesn't display any OTP codes. Ngayon, kapag insert ko yung YubiKey 5 series or yung 5 NFC, ito lang siya magbibigay ng code. And as you can see, hindi nyo pa rin kita yung code because we still need to, let's say, touch yung touch sensor nung YubiKey 5 series before siya mag-output ng YubiKey code. So, as you can see here, once I double-click, kailangan natin touch. Ayan, so, ayan, doon na siya nag-output ng security key code or OTP code. And that's it. So, I think we can answer some questions now, surveys.
Ayun, yes, JM, thank you very much for the presentation and the demo. I hope by now you begin to appreciate the advantage of having a physical token. So let's go directly to the questions. So yung iba na address mo na, but let's go back sa first questions. So coming from Chan, Miss or Sir, hi, do you have a product that can be used as 2FA to log in on Windows machines?
Okay, sir. Actually, yes, we have previously I can show actually share screen na pala. We have the config setup 1 and config setup 2 for Windows machine or basically computer logins. So pwede na siyang gamitin. So kailangan lang natin we can give you some links on how to set up and also kapag meron na kayong YubiKey. So meron kasi tayong personalization tool which is yun yung i-install natin throughout all of the computers. Then once na na-install doon, kailangan nating let's say self-service or let's say malaman nating i-install yung or set up yung YubiKey doon sa specific machine na yon para every time na maglalagay siya via computer or let's say maglalagay na siya sa Windows login, kailangan niya ng AD password and then the second time is kailangan niya na ng YubiKey para makapag-login doon sa Windows machines. Ayun. So,
Okay, thank you, JM. Another question. Sorry. Thank you, JM, for the another question. Coming from Sir Vincent John Rigor for the smart card PIV feature. How can you use this for your digital signature, particularly using the Philippine National Public Key Infrastructure?
and
And
if
if
you
you can show an illustration.
Okay, sir. So unfortunately, sir, we don't have current illustration for the PIV because I haven't prepared for that. For this, I think for this session is I've only prepared the OTP and the FIDO, but I think we can schedule a separate session, Sir Vincent and Sir Vincent Santos, of course. So to show you or to showcase you on how will be our illustration for the PIV feature. Yes,
Yes,
Jenny, of
JM.
course.
So we can schedule. So this is just a presentation of an overview of the product. Pero Sir Vincent John, so if you have time, we can schedule a visit para to discuss the product in detail. So I hope we answered your question. And moving on to the next question kay Sir Nestor, is there a fast way to recover a lost YubiKey?
Uh, Actually, you can't recover the lost YubiKey anymore. Let's say, kapag nawala mo na yung susi mo, let's say meron kang padlock, nawala mo yung susi mo, kailangan mo nang palitan yung padlock mo pag ganun. Pero kapag with YubiKey naman, nawala mo siya, kailangan mong i-revoke yung access ng YubiKey dun sa account mo kapag di mo na talaga mahal yung YubiKey. And maka-login ka naman dun sa account mo na nawala ng YubiKey kasi prerequisite before setting up yung YubiKey natin is dapat meron kang secondary, which is either phone, authenticator. So, ayun, sir. So, sad to say, hindi natin siya ma-recover but we can revoke yung access ng YubiKey na yun para hindi na madamay yung account dun sa nawalang YubiKey na yun.
Okay, JM, thank you. A follow-up question from Miss Chan or Sir. For personal computers po sana. Kasi yung sa akin, yung YubiKey na kulay blue. So, yung gamit ni Miss or Sir Chan is yung security key by Yubico.
Okay,
Um,
okay, sir. Thank you. Actually, for personal computers is pwede siya, pero hindi compatible yung blue natin na security key series. So unfortunately, sir, parang mali yung for hindi compatible yung YubiKey, yung kulay blue na nagamit mo for computer logins. Ang pwede kasi for now is yung YubiKey 5 series natin. So audio medyo I think it varies on I think price. So medyo may pinagkaiba sa price pero ayun sir. So medyo mas cheap kasi yung blue which is yung security key series. That's why it is cheap because medyo lacking siya ng protocols. So ayun sir. For YubiKey 5 series sir pwede for personal computers pero yung blue is hindi siya compatible.
Okay, thank you very much. Another question, JM from Sir Bernard. How can I use the YubiKey to log into multi-sites which does not support FIDO2 and with different passwords? Or how can I optimize this type of scenario?
Actually, sir, for Fido 2, kapag hindi kasi talaga siya supported ng wala pa siyang FIDO standard, kapag wala pa siyang FIDO standard, there's no way na ma-add natin yung YubiKey as a primary MFA. That's why we have yung Yubico Authenticator if yung sites na yon, so at least, or let's safe to say, almost all sites naman is nagre-require na siya ng Microsoft Authenticator. Instead of FIDO2, we can use yung Yubico Authenticator natin, which is yung pinakita ko kanina. So, same thing naman yung pag-setup. Scan natin yung QR code for the Authenticator app using yung Yubico Authenticator. And then, register natin yung YubiKey and basically yun yung pinaka-workaround natin para magamit natin yung YubiKey for wala pang FIDO na websites. Ayun, sir.
Okay, JM, thank you very much. So, another question from Sir Andrew. If my YubiKey token device is stolen, are my credentials safe on that stolen device?
Uh, yes, sir. If you've revoked the access of the UVT. So I'll try to show again. So I'll try to share screen again my presentation. I think I have slides for the revoking of the YubiKey in case of, let's say, lost YubiKey here. Just for a minute. Okay. Okay, here. So let's say for the most commonly used service, the Gmail or Google. So as you can see here, I have set up the multiple security key, primary and backup. Let's say yung primary yung lagi kong dala-dala or nasa keychain or let's say, nakatali siya sa ID ko, which is yun yung lagi kong gamit. So let's say nawala yung primary mo, there's a way na maging safe yung credentials mo dun sa nawala na primary YubiKey. So we can just click yung edit here, and then click yung remove this YubiKey. And then click lang natin yung OK. And then done. So ganoon lang naman kadali yung revoke ng YubiKey. So but take note, of course, maka-login ka naman sa account ito kapag meron kang secondary authenticators like phone or in authenticator app. But for let's say for myself, I've used various YubiKey. So I think for YubiKeys, so meron na primary, backup 1, backup 2, backup 3. So instead of in case na mawala yung isa, meron pa rin akong other types ng YubiKey. So I think I've answered your question, sir, Sir Andrew. So ayun, para maging safe yung credentials is kailangan natin i-revoke yung security key. Okay. You're welcome, sir.
Okay, JM, thank you very much. So that's the last question we have. So, okay, Sai, thank you. And to all the participants, thank you very much. So, again, I hope by now all of you will begin to appreciate the advantage of having a physical token. So, itong presentation natin is just an overview. So, we welcome if you could call us and do a presentation in detail in your organization. So again, thank you very much and good afternoon.